My homophobic sister told me my marriage is less valuable because I'm lesbian, and then tried to steal my wedding venue. My parents supported her, so I uninvited them all from my wedding, and they lost it. My sister showed up to my door unannounced, demanding I give her my wedding venue. Before I even had a chance to ask her what this was about, she started ranting about how, because my wedding is with another woman, it's less valuable. Apparently, having a gay wedding would disgrace the family. She then started attacking my fiancé's race, saying that her kind are known to cheat, and began ridiculing me about the possibility of my fiancé having an affair. "If she isn't now, she will later. You know what they're like," were her exact words. I don't know how she figured this was the best way to convince me to give her my venue, but I of course told her no. Well, when I did, she absolutely lost it. She started trying to brute force her way into my house, but when I managed to close the door and lock it, she started screaming the F slur at me. She eventually stormed away, but not before telling me the venue will be hers. I knew that was not the end of it. You see, Rachel was always known for pulling the "I'm the baby of the family" card and getting things her way because of it. A few years back, I had saved up for months to buy my first car. I had my eye on this used but reliable Honda Civic that I knew would be perfect for me. I was so excited to finally have something of my own, especially since I'd been working part-time jobs while in college to save up for it. The day I brought the car home, Rachel, who had just turned 18, was immediately all over it. She didn't ask if she could sit in it or take it for a spin. She just assumed it was something we would share. She said my car was too cute and asked if she could take it to the mall that night. I laughed, thinking she was kidding, but Rachel didn't laugh. She pouted and folded her arms across her chest like a child. She said it wasn't fair that I was the only one who got to drive it since she didn't have a car yet. I explained that I'd worked hard to afford it and that I needed it for work and school, but she wasn't having any of it. She stormed off to our parents. That night, my parents sat me down for a talk. My mom told me that she knew that the car was mine and explained that it would help them out if we shared that car since Rachel didn't have hers yet. When they said I wasn't budging, they offered to pay the insurance if I let Rachel drive it. I still didn't want to accept it, but I felt like I didn't have much of a choice. My dad chimed in and said that I'd get more opportunities to work and save up, and Rachel was just starting out. I had to let Rachel use my car whenever she wanted. She ended up treating it like her own and barely even said thanks. And my parents made me out to be the selfish one for not wanting to share with my little sister. A few days after Rachel showed up at my house, I got a call from my mom asking me to come over for dinner. She didn't say much, but I could tell from her voice that this was going to be one of those dinners. I went over that night, and sure enough, after a painfully awkward meal, my mom cleared her throat and said Rachel told them about the venue. I asked what she told them, and they said that Rachel and Matt had been struggling to find a venue, and it was really important to them since this was a big step in their relationship. I nodded. She went on to say that our vineyard would be the perfect location for them since it was their first wedding, especially since it was a traditional wedding. The sentence hit me like a ton of bricks. My wedding didn't matter as much to them either because it wasn't between a man and a woman. I was stunned, but I shouldn't have been. My parents had always quietly disapproved of me being with my fiancée Lisa. They never said it outright, but their subtle digs and passive-aggressive comments about my lifestyle choices always gave it away. And now, they were outright telling me that my sister Rachel's wedding was more important because it was traditional. I explained to them that I picked out the venue a year ago. Lisa and I have been planning our wedding around that vineyard. We're not giving it up. My mom sighed, and my dad shook his head. My mom said I should let Rachel have her moment. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I laid my silverware on the table and told them that I was not giving up the venue, and if Rachel wanted a vineyard, she could find another one. They looked at me like I was being completely unreasonable. My mom even had the audacity to say, "Just think about it, okay?" I didn't need to think about it. I walked out that night knowing that they were never going to see my wedding as important, but I wasn't going to let them ruin it for me. A few days later, Lisa and I got a call from our wedding planner. The woman sounded confused and a little frantic, and she asked me if we canceled the venue. My heart sank. I said of course not, and she told me that someone called, pretending to be me, and canceled the booking. I felt a surge of anger. I knew exactly who it was. There was only one person petty enough to pull something like this. I hung up with the wedding planner and immediately called Rachel. She picked up on the second ring, and her voice was all sugary and sweet. I asked her if she had canceled our wedding venue, and she didn't even try to deny it. She said we didn't need it anyway. I told her that she committed fraud and that we couldn't get our deposit back. She laughed and said that it was a harmless prank. She said that since I forced her to find another venue just as quickly, we should be able to find one with no problem. I was so angry I couldn't even speak. I hung up on her. I called the venue and managed to get the booking reinstated. Thank God the people at the vineyard were understanding, but the damage was already done. I told Rachel that I'd had enough of her crap and uninvited her from our wedding. She was upset and said that it was just a joke. I told her that was it and said that she'd better not pull any more tricks like that again. And then, just when I thought it couldn't get worse, my parents started calling me. They left voicemail after voicemail, saying I was overreacting, that it was just a joke, and that I needed to apologize to Rachel for blowing it out of proportion. My mom even had the nerve to text me that I was making the family look bad by making a scene. Lisa, bless her, tried to keep me grounded through all of this. She reminded me that this was our day, and we weren't going to let Rachel or anyone else ruin it. But I was so furious that I could barely focus on the wedding plans anymore. A few days after the whole venue fiasco, I thought things had finally settled down. I had uninvited Rachel, and after the calls from my parents, things went quiet for a bit. One evening, as I was winding down after work, my phone buzzed. It was my cousin Leah. We weren't super close, but she was one of the few family members I actually liked, so I picked up. There was a pause, and I immediately knew something was off. She said that she didn't want to get involved in all the family stuff, but thought I should know what was being said. She said that Rachel's been talking to everyone. She's telling the whole family that I'm being selfish and dramatic, and that I uninvited her from the wedding because I can't handle the fact that her wedding is more important. She's saying I'm jealous that her marriage is the one our family cares about since me and Lisa are not traditional marriage partners. She's basically making it sound like I'm the one who's trying to cause all this drama, Leah continued. She's been going around saying that I don't want her at the wedding because I'm jealous of her relationship with her fiancé Matt, and that's why I uninvited her. Rachel didn't even mention to them that she was trying to sabotage my venue or that she wanted the venue in the first place. I made sure to tell Leah that, and she said that she believed me, but I knew how our family was. Since Rachel was the youngest, they were eating it up. Leah said she had even heard some people say they didn't know if they should come to my wedding anymore because they didn't want to pick sides. I thanked her for telling me everything and hung up the phone. And then, just when I thought it couldn't possibly get worse, Lisa started receiving threatening texts from an anonymous number. They said things like, if this wedding goes forward, there will be consequences, and you don't want to know what'll happen if you don't cancel it. I was in the middle of going over the final seating arrangements for the wedding when my phone buzzed. It was a text from Lisa, and immediately I could tell something was off. She asked to talk. Not even 5 seconds later, my phone rang, and Lisa's name lit up the screen. I picked up. I asked her what was up since I was trying to get the finishing touches on our seating. There was a heavy pause on the other end before she sighed. She said that she was getting weird calls while she was at work. I asked her what they said, and she said she'd gotten 3 calls today from different numbers, but they were all saying the same thing. They know about the wedding and keep telling her to call it off or something bad will happen. The first call came in around noon. Some guy said we'll regret it if we don't cancel the wedding. The second call was a woman who was even more specific. She said if we go through with the wedding, someone's going to make sure it ends in disaster. I asked if she reported them. She said she did to her manager. They've already flagged the numbers, but the third call came right after she hung up with HR. It's like they knew what she was doing. I told her to save the numbers and we would track them down. She said they were probably burner phones, but she still wrote them down. I told her that we were not going to let them scare us out of our own wedding, but she needed to be careful. I asked if she was safe at work. She said her manager was looking out for her, but she was more worried about me. What if they try to pull something at home? Or worse, at the wedding? She asked me. I told her I'd make sure someone was watching the house no matter what it cost. We're not going to let anyone ruin this day for us. I told her I loved her and got off the phone. The knot of fear in my stomach only tightened. Lisa was terrified, and honestly, I was too. But I wasn't going to let these threats scare us out of our own wedding. We reported the messages to the police and hired extra security for the event. I wasn't going to let Rachel or anyone else bully us out of the day we had planned. A week before the wedding, Rachel and my mom showed up at my house. They were banging on the door like they owned the place, and I should have known better than to let them in, but I didn't want a scene on my front porch. They didn't waste any time. My mom looked me dead in the eye and said I needed to cancel this wedding and that it was embarrassing for the family. My mom said, "Do you really want people to know that you're having a lesbian wedding? Do you know what that's going to do to our reputation?" I couldn't believe what I was hearing. My mother was standing in my living room telling me that my marriage was an embarrassment to her. I told her I wasn't canceling anything, and if she was ashamed of me, that was on her. She didn't have to come to the wedding either if she was going to cause drama. I told her I only wanted people who fully supported me and Lisa there anyway, especially after the threats we received. My mom exploded. She started yelling about how ungrateful I was, how I was ruining Rachel's life, how I was making the whole family look bad. Rachel just stood there, soaking it all in, clearly loving every second of it, but I didn't care anymore. I kicked them out of my house and told them they weren't welcome at the wedding, and that was that. The day of the wedding finally arrived a week later. Lisa and I were nervous but excited. We had security at the venue, and thankfully, no one tried to crash it. Our closest friends, some extended family who actually supported us, and our chosen family were there to celebrate. It was beautiful. We exchanged vows, and for a moment, all the drama faded away. It was perfect. But then, during the reception, one of my cousins pulled me aside and handed me her phone. On the screen was a live video Rachel had posted that morning. She wasn't at the vineyard. She was at the courthouse getting married. I was confused at first, but then it hit me that Rachel had eloped. She never even wanted the vineyard. She just wanted to ruin my wedding. After she eloped, worked. She tried to throw a last-minute reception at my parents' house. But guess what? Hardly anyone showed up. Even most of the extended family thought she had gone too far and wanted nothing to do with her drama. It was a bitter pill to swallow, but in the end, Lisa and I had the wedding of our dreams. And now, a few months later, I've cut off contact with my parents and Rachel. They still try to reach out, acting like I'm the one who overreacted, but I'm done with their toxic behavior. As for Lisa and me, we're happier than ever, building our life together, surrounded by people who actually love and support us.